and clear for you all? And if my screen is also visible, please thumbs up if you can help me notify. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let's start. First, let me start with my introduction, you guys. So my full name is Rajiv Kumar. I'm actually in this industry from the last now onwards, I think more than 16 years. Yep. And some of the global, organization which I had worked for, and even now also I'm working and providing my consulting work to some of my global clients there, specifically in the information and security and in the cloud security area. One of my core passion is basically to deliver training, which I'm actually pursuing from the last 14 years. So you can say that I have quite a big number of years specifically in the training delivery experience. Now, because our focus here to understand about the CISSP, the certification, and definitely the very importantly, what exactly we should do for going for the examination and definitely successfully cracking the examination. So with a quick introduction of myself, so my name is Rajiv, guys, and as I told, I have more than 16 years of experience in this industry. I'm providing consulting work in information and security and in cloud security. Some of the certification which you can see in front of your screen as well. So I'm actually both in both of the area of the information security. One is called the management of the information security, and another one is the implementation of that information and security, right? So when it comes to implementation, guys, I'm talking about the understanding the issues in the organization and accordingly implementing the control which can rectify those issues. Talking about more about the risk there, right? So understanding the risk, then ensuring that risk is mitigated properly with the help of proper control, which can help remove the issues. Remember, there is no any risk which you can 100% mitigate, but definitely we need to ensure that risk is mitigated under our risk appetite. Risk appetite is basically the risk which we can digest, and it is again based on the organization risk profile. So I'm actually in both of the side. Initially, I was very much involved in the implementation, and I had done lots of different set of activity. CEH, certified ethical hacker. I also mostly I had completed all the certifications from EC Council. But apart from the all these certifications, I'm also OSCP, Offensive Security Certified Professional, and another one you can see in my screen as well. So LPT. But the most important point after the implementation, we have to ensure that security is managed properly throughout their life cycle, right? Because remember, the risk may change over the time, any time because of the new, the risk or the new threat is coming into the market, and accordingly we have to adapt as well. So we have to ensure that security is managed throughout their life cycle, and for that, security management is important. So not only the implementation, at the same time, we have to also implement the security management concept, which include the governance, which include the risk management, and which includes the compliance as well. So all these is basically the core part of your security risk management. So I'm mostly in both of the side, guys. Nowadays, mostly into the security management side for ensuring that organization is moving towards the correct, direction. So this is about me, guys. Now, very importantly, we are looking to discuss about this CISSP certification, right? So what exactly we have here? So first we have to understand what exactly this certification is. So this certification is all about, so you can see here, so it's CISSP, which is Certified Information System Security Professional, right? Now you may ask, there's so many certifications we have in the market, which is actually promising you to help you achieve your targets in information security world. I mean, you have CEH, you have CompShare security analyst, you have security practitioners, and there's so many information security manager, information security auditor. Moreover, all of them is basically talking about the same thing. Definitely, they have their couple of different agendas as well there, but moreover, they are talking about the same thing. But still, from the very long time, Certified Information System Security Professional certification is one of the gold certificate we have in the information security world. If you're trying to move into the information security area and you want to understand everything about the security, everything about the information security, CISSP is having actually actually everything. Whether you're talking about from the very basic concepts, I mean, you need to understand what is security actually. And then gradually you wanted to understand each concept which can create a major issue for the organization, whether it is about the basic concepts about the security, like what is threat management, what is threat analysis, or we are talking about the business continuity, disaster recovery, incident management, right? Security modeling. Everything basically is part of your CSS. And because of this broad area, what the CISSP covers in the information security. So as a professional, after getting certified as a professional, you are going to be very demanded. See, one of the assumption and which is very, very much true as well. One of the assumption after the certification, if you're going to crack, the organization is having that you have the necessary skill and expertise which can help organization move into the correct direction. And that is where the most of the organization is struggling right now. Lack of expertise, lack of knowledge, and very importantly, proper direction, lack of proper direction. We had seen so many organizations so far in the market who had actually collapsed. Why? Because they had implemented a good number of controls, but they had not maintained over the time. Even a small threat had given a big issue for them. And guys, the loss of revenue can also possible because you had not implemented the control properly, right? I mean, there's so many risks nowadays we are facing. Previously our business model was different. Just think about, 20 to 30 years back, your implementation for business was totally different. You were thinking from it, you just need to move into the market, sell your products, and you're good to go. Get your revenue and you're good to go. But are we working in the same manner today? No, we have a total different agenda today. We are working online. We are selling our products online. And definitely when we are selling products, there's so many different risks which is coming online as well. I mean, the attackers, they know how to compromise your system. And not only about the attackers, you are actually surrounded with lots of compliance, with lots of regulations. A simple example we can take is the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. This General Data Protection Regulation itself is talking about so many different set of data which we have to preserve, we have to protect. So we have regulations, we have so many different laws which is around it. So even if you mistake a single bit, forget about the attackers. Definitely attacker will give you lots of issues. But even if somehow you're able to manage the attackers, you're able to tackle the attackers, these regulations are actually going to pull you up. You have to pay a very huge fine because you had not followed properly some of the rules what they had actually enforced on you. And that is the reason we need to think about the security, not only about the implementation of control to manage the attackers, but also to ensure that these regulations compliance requirement, we are also satisfying it. And we must know that at the time of attack and after the attack, how we should need to respond not only to the attacker, but also the regulations, but also the local law and other, multiple compliance requirement which we have to fulfill. We all know that nowadays, mostly organizations are working globally. We have global customers around the globe. In fact, I can see in front of me as well, I have the global customers. I'm serving you all, right? Some of you from UK, some of you are from US, some of you are from Africa, some of you from Asia region, right? So all these regulations I have to take care while I'm actually grabbing your data. I have to ensure that your data is protected. Otherwise, me and my organization is going to be the part of the target there if I'm not able to satisfy the requirements properly. So CISSP, in certified information system security professional, we are actually covering this all global view. Definitely to ensure that we are satisfying all this requirement, we have to ensure that we first know what exactly needs to be done. I mean, what is the requirement? And then to cover up that requirement, what are the actions we have to take? This is one of the reason we should go for the CISSP, because after that, your employer will assume that you have all the requirements which will help that organization to cover up each of these things. As a professional member, you have to ensure that you are providing the proper benefit to the organization with your experience, expertise, and the knowledge what you are actually gaining from it. So it's not only about cracking the examination. Definitely, it is one of the core requirement we have. I mean, after completing this, after completing the training, one of the core goal you have to crack the examination. But at the same time, we have to understand that how we should supposed to work in the organization. And if we understand this part, believe me, guys, examination cracking is going to be a really a very, a very good fun for you all, right?
So it's one of the globally recognized certifications offered by ISC². ISC² actually one of the not-for-profit organization, right? Who actually rigorously enforcing the best standards around us, specifically the standards which is actually coming from NIST. So NIST is one of the standard which we follow while we are implementing any set of control. So whether it is the data classification, whether you are managing incidents, whether you are managing business continuity, whether you are managing disaster recovery, NIST has given their standard guidelines, and normally if you are working for federal government, definitely you are following that. But the way NIST guidelines had written is too up to the mark. Mostly all organizations around the globe is actually following it. Apart from NIST, we have other globally recognized standards, like one is from ISO, International Standard of Organization. So there are so many ISO documentations like ISO 22301, ISO 27001, ISO 27017. So there's so many globally recognized guidelines we have, which is going to help you to improve security posture in your organization. And that is what exactly we require. See, understanding what we have to do and then implementation is actually one of the very critical tasks. And if some certain framework or guideline will help you, believe me, 50% of your work is already done, because let's assume there is a risk, and for that risk I have to implement control. The first and very important thing in front of me I have is that what control I'm going to implement. Believe me, when I need to implement it from the scratch, it's going to be very hectic task, because at the same time I am the responsible person for everything. But if there is any certain guideline or framework I have, it will help me to at least start. Believe me, guys, these documentations are going to help you cover up 50% of task very easily. So all you have to figure it out, what are the proper way to implement that control. And that is where these documentations are going to help you. One of the another core agenda of the CISSP is to understand some of these documentations very carefully, specifically talking about the from the recent examination objectives, NIST 861, which is basically talking about the incident management. So what are the steps which we have to take, how exactly we should proceed for that, and what exactly the ultimate objective of these documentations. So objective of the documentation, procedure which they have to follow, and definitely some of the tools, some of the core tools which we are going to implement to manage a certain activity. Right now, another important thing, this CISSP certification is designed to validate your expertise and skills of information security professional who work on developing and implementing effective security program. As I told, that as a security professional, your one of the core agenda is to ensure that you know the threat, and accordingly you are managing the threat. But for that, definitely you have to first understand what is the threat. Multiple information nowadays we have there. I mean, you will be taking support of multiple tools. Like if I'm talking about the threats, so might be for the cyber threats, I will be relying on IDS, intrusion detection system. I may rely on anti-malware softwares. I may rely on the cyber threat intelligence, right? So there are some intelligence groups which we have around us, which is actually going to help you to feed all the necessary information through which you can understand about the threat, and definitely accordingly you can go for the implementation of the control. And the best part is there's so many open source tool available around us. For that, you don't require any certain licenses. Definitely in the corporate, we always think about the license, and the reason behind is we require some accountability as well behind the tool, right? But for the practice, for the exposure, there's so many open source tools available which will help you to gather such requirements and accordingly go for the implementation of the control. So one of the goal of this CS certification is to understand the threats, design the security program with the help of frameworks available around you. Remember, guys, there is no any core frameworks available which can 100% help for the organization. Always you have to do some modification, because the way the organization works, the way organization interact with their customer or in their business model could be totally different, right? So we require certain modification in the framework, but definitely the starting point is always going to be the same. How you do implementation, that is you will decide. But what to do, I mean, ultimate goal is very straightforward. We are trying to manage the threats in the organization. The path could be different, right? So our objective is to understand the threat, ensure that we have a certain security program to manage. And for that, you are going to take help of some frameworks. And in CISSP, we are also focusing on the same. Remember, there are multiple threats you are facing nowadays. A threats which is impacting the confidentiality, the threat which is impacting the integrity of the data or the information, the threat which is impacting the availability of your information. I mean, the security core objective is basically to manage your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is always the gold keyword, right? I mean, definitely you have to actually understand that we are trying to manage certain aspect of your information. Either it is confidentiality, integrity, or availability, or might be everything. But you cannot allocate all of your resource to each of that. So you have to prioritize which one you require most. And again, it is the organization core agenda objective actually decide where they are focusing more. I mean, if you are going to interact with the military firms or military organizations or government organization, their core goal is to manage the confidentiality of the information most of the time. But if you think about some profit-based organization, you will see there they're mostly on the availability side. I mean, let's assume that if there's particular certain website is down, and now the business owner is saying, "Hey, do all the forensic work, extract the information of the attacker. I will take him, I will take a legal action against that user. Even if it is down for 2 days, my server is down for 2 days, there is no any problem." You will rarely find such sentences from the owners. Their objective is to ensure that we can move into the production as soon as possible. Definitely, we can actually work on the forensics or other information which we are trying to gather about the attack later on, right? Now, another thing, to earn the CISSP certification, candidate must pass one of the rigorous exam and must have the 5-year experience. Now, this is one of the another key important thing which you have to understand about the CISSP. CISSP is checking two different things to you. First, they have an online examination, right, where you can actually sit in front of the system, which you have to visit to your nearest Pearson Center, and you have to appear in the examination where you may face at least 125 question minimum, and maximum they will ask you 180 question, right? And you have to achieve 70% to pass the examination. The good thing is, I mean, whether you say good thing or bad thing, but this examination is a CAT, computer adaptive test. Actually it is. So gradually it will ask you the harder and harder question might be based on your previous response you are getting there. So this is the first criteria. First, you have to pass this examination. And the second requirement, if you're looking to obtain the professional certification, remember here we have two types of certificate. One is the professional, another is this associate. So if you are looking to get the associate certification, then the second requirement you don't have to worry about. All you have to just pass the examination. But if you're looking to get the professional certification, which normally organizations are looking for, you have to prove that you have the necessary 5 years of experience in any two of the domain out of 8 domains we have in the CISSP. So within CISSP, we have total of 8 different domains. Out of 8, you have to prove that you have the necessary exposure in any two of the domain. And this exposure is up to 5 years at least. Yes, you will get some waive off as well, but minimum they're looking for the 2 years. And after fulfilling these two requirements, can be awarded as a CISSP certificate, guys, and you are going to be the member of the same. I can say I'm getting some questions or might be comments that some of you are not able to see my screen. I'm not sure, but I think it is visible for everyone. Just let me know if it is visible now. I just reshared again. Is it okay? Right? Perfect. Thank you. Yes, there is only one slide I had shared so far. Correct. It's overview. Now, the another point we have. So that is what exactly explained first. So first you have to pass the examination, and the second that you must fulfill at least the 5 years of experience, right? Another requirement we have, it is considered one of the most respected. Now, it's actually, as I already told, one of the gold certification we have in the market right now, CISSP. So if you compare with all the certifications you have right now, right, specifically right now I'm talking about the information security world, CISSP still have their reputation in the market. Right. Specifically in United States, Europe and location, I can still say that this certification is very valuable amongst the employers. It doesn't mean that I'm actually excluding the Asia or Africa region. Definitely we have, but from the very long time, these regions are very much, in demand of such professionals. So mostly I had seen guys after doing the certifications, they generally migrate to either US or Canada and Europe, and they shift and they start working there. And definitely, I mean, you can enhance your professional life from there as well, right? So this is some of the information about the CISSP. Now let's talk about some of the domains which we will be covering in the examination. Now it's very much important to understand that how exactly this entire examination is aligned. As I told, that as a security professional, an employer is looking to extract some useful information from you so they can build a very secure infrastructure. And for building the secure infrastructure, they require a very major inputs from you. Now, if you can see here, there are total of 8 different domain we have in this particular certification. Now, what is this? So the first domain itself is on security and risk management. Now, this domain is very critical domain of your examination. I mean, for the CISSP, this is one of the very critical domain. Now, why exactly? The first important point, that maximum number of questions. I mean, if I check percentage wise, the maximum percentage of the questions you will be getting it from this domain, the first domain. OK, that is the first reason. The second reason, see, the point is rest of the domain is going to talk about some controls. They will discuss some issues, some risk, and then talk about some of the controls which you can implement to fix that issue. But before implementing that control to fix, so now what I'm saying here, that we have a risk and might be we have certain control in front of us, right? And there could be multiple control, might be from the different vendors as well, right? Now, which control is best for your organization? How exactly you will decide that factors discussed in this domain. I mean, before implementing the control, we should know what the asset is. I mean, why is it asset for you? Why is it valuable for the organization? Remember, at the end of the day, we always have to look at the goal of the organization. So what exactly the goal of the organization, and for achieving this goal, what are the strategies created by the senior management? What are the issues that the strategy is having, right? I mean, we have to understand what are the risks these strategy may face, and accordingly what sort of control can fix that issue. So if you are able to perform your strategies properly, then very much chances are there that this goal you can achieve, right? And that is where this is how exactly it is designed. So what exactly the asset is, how do we perform the risk assessment against that asset? So we understand what are the different set of risks. That risk assessment will help you to understand the overall impact over that asset. And based on that impact, we can actually select a certain control. But not only the control we have to select the cost effective control. See, at the end of the day, if you're implementing the control, organization will check, are we generating any value after implementing this control? So this value proposition you cannot put in front of your employer until unless you have proper information about how much you are investing on this control and how much risk you are facing. And after comparing, you have a data for your management that yes, we are able to save our organization with the help of these control. And that is how exactly this domain will help you to understand. So this entire domain is going to provide you all the necessary information which will help you to decide why this control is important. And for that, what kind of analysis we have to perform, what are the different types of analysis we have, what are the strategies behind this analysis, and finally, how should we select a certain control which is going to be the best option for you, right? In the same domain, we will be also discussing about some of the factors which will impact. I mean, even after implementing the control, we can't be very much sure that risk is 100% minimized. Still, there are some risk we have. Okay, so we have to be very much ready with our proper planning, and that is where the business continuity planning is also required. So this business continuity planning will help you to ensure that even after implementation of control, if there's certain risk which is going to impact, we have a certain plan which will immediately helping me to maintain the continuity of the business. Right. And in the same domain, we will be also discussing about this relevant laws, because risk is not only about the issues which is possible because of the attackers or because of the mistakes, either in the configurations or might be uh, So certain information is leaked because of some accidental modification of the data, or might be the configuration. The risk is also possible because you had not followed the law properly, or might be the regulation properly, as I told previously. So even that one too, we have to figure it out. What are those laws we have and how do we should take care about these laws? I mean, what are the core agenda of these laws are and how do we figure it out? In your examination, there are certain law definitely going to be asked. Like one of the core is GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. Specifically, all their rules you have to go through, you have to understand. Mostly the questions are going to be from there. Plus, which regulation belongs to which country? That is another key question. Normally, you will be going to be tested. So all of these going to be discussed in this first domain. Second domain will be discussing about what are the some of the assets which is generally common in all the organization. So we'll discuss on that particular part. What is the asset for the organization and how do we classify those assets? Because classification will help you understand the impact as well. And based on that impact, you can implement the control, right? Plus, what are some of the general control we have which we can implement, right? So this is the another domain, relatively short domain, but very important because it will help you to understand about your assets. The third domain specifically focusing and it's actually one of the largest domain I can say, security architect and engineering, and one of the most technical domain as well, I can say. Why I'm saying this? Because in this domain we will be discussing about one of the core and one of the important aspect of information security, and that is called cryptography. You know, cryptography is actually from the very long time one of the core control we are implementing to mitigate the risk. Encryption, decryption, symmetric encryption, asymmetric encryption, then algorithms, understanding those algorithms, what are the weakness of those algorithms are, right? All these we will be understanding. Now, all these information will help you to understand that why a particular certain algorithm will be the best option for you in a certain situation, right? And then what kind of attack which can possible against a certain algorithm, and accordingly, which algorithm will be the best option for you. So that is the another important key thing we will be checking it. But it's not only about the cryptography. In this same domain, we will be also discussing about the security model. Before purchasing any control like firewalls, you will be checking whether this control is really going to help you or not. I mean, technically, is it well enough protected? For that, the abstract behind that control we need to understand. So some of the security models like Bella Padula, Biba model, Clark Wilson model. So we will understand the abstract behind any of the security solution. I mean, before creating any control, the architects actually design the control. And while designing the control, they look at these well-known formulas which needs to be integrated into your solution. That's security model we will understand, which will help us to understand why a certain control will be the best option for you and why you should trust on that. So as a security professional and as a security manager, it will help you to not only understand the core agenda behind the control, but also how you should evaluate a certain control and who is doing that evaluation and why you should trust on that control. That is also we will try to understand. After that, in the same model, we will also discuss about the physical security controls. Remember, security issues are not only about the logical issues, security issues because of the physical. I mean, let's suppose you had implemented the encryption, but what about if someone has taken the entire server or the hard disk with him? Your availability at least is compromised. No matter, might be they are not able to decrypt the data, but at least they are able to compromise your availability. So remember, physical security is the first line of defense you have, and human beings is the last line of defense. In between, definitely we have something as well. So we'll understand some of the key aspects like why the water sprinkles are required, why the fire suppression system is there, and how many types of fire suppression systems are there, how we should arrange it and integrate it into the security solution. These all agenda we will discuss in this physical security, right? And in the same domain, we will also discuss about the cloud security as well, and some of the new aspect like the IoT and OT security issues as well. So in fact, I can see that this domain is pretty much large, and weightage wise it is not great, but information wise it is so much information we have here. So it's very much important that we should digest it in a streamlined manner. After that, the domains are very lightweight, I can say. Not exactly the same like we have in the communication. Like in the communication and network security, here we will be discussing on the network aspect. I mean, what are the different types of network? What kind of network protocols available which will help you to implement the security? Like one of the protocol I can tell here we should go for is IPsec. IPsec will help you to ensure that all the information is encrypted while the data is moving from one point to another. Similarly, we have SSL, we have TLS, right? Like that, for the different issues, we have different protocols. And why these protocols are important, like we will discuss about SNMP version 3. So what is the new things added in this SNMP version 3? What was the issue with SNMP version 2 and version 1? Similarly, what are the different WAN protocols we have? In which situation, which WAN protocols we should go for? All these things we will discuss. Similarly, in the email is one of the core communication method today. So we have SMIME, we have SMTP, POP, then we are using PGP. There's so many protocols which is helping you to enhance the security for your mails. So all these things we will discuss in the same. After this, communication and network security. Now, if you see here, all thing is basically talking about the different aspects of the security. And definitely when you are working as a professional, your goal is to ensure that all these areas are secured. Any area where the loophole is, definitely chances of attack is possible. Okay. Yes, it also covered the PKI. PKI is basically the part of your security architect and engineering, where we will discuss about the cryptography. Right. Similarly, another domain we have identity. Now, identity, I must say, is one of the core aspect of organization today. So in the identity and access management, what we do, we will try to discuss. So let me just try to clear my screen. I'm just trying to check. Yeah. Yeah. So let me move forward. So another domain we have, as I told, the identity and access management, as I told, is one of the core part of your CISSP as well. And in fact, in the information security world, you can't secure your organization unless you know that who is the person who is trying to access your information. So first we'll try to create an identity system. For that identity system, there's some core principles which we have to follow, like provisioning, deprovisioning, maintenance of a particular identity. Plus nowadays we are using so many different protocols while we are on the internet. We use Kerberos, one of the very popular protocol in the organizations. Apart from that, we are also using SAML, we use OAuth, right? We use OpenID. So we'll try to understand that what are the issues around these protocols and in which situation, which protocol is going to be the identical situation. Because in the examination, their core agenda is to help you ask, and they're trying to ask you and they're trying to understand whether you know that which protocol fits where and why exactly, right? Yes, we will try to cover all these particular. Remember, guys, we have so many things here. Specifically the protocols which is important, like why the Kerberos is important, how the SAML works, how OAuth is going to work, in which situation OAuth will be the best solution for you, in which situation SAML is going to be the best solution for you, what is single sign-on, in the single sign-on what are the procedure works, right? So in the examination they will try to evaluate on these topics, right? They will not ask you what is SAML, what is OAuth, but they will ask you in which situation we should go for OAuth or which situation we should go for the OpenID. And for that, it is very much important that you should understand how these works, because that time it will be very easy for you to explain that how exactly it works. And definitely the selection of the one best answer is going to be fairly easy for you, right? This is how exactly it will go forward. Then we will also discuss the security assessment procedures. I mean, assessment is basically you had implemented the control. I mean, so far we had discussed on the implementation of control, but whether this control actually works for you or not. So we have to do the assessment. Assessment will help you validate the control effectiveness. And for that, n number of tools we use, like we use Nessus, we use Metasploit framework, we use Acunetics, we do static testing, we do dynamic testing, we do fudge testing. So these testing will help you understand the effectiveness of your control. Remember, there are two important keywords, effectiveness and efficiency. You had implemented a control because the control is effective solution against the issue you're trying to mitigate. Like virus attack, against virus attack, antivirus could be the effective solution, right? But it may not be the efficient solution over the time. The reason behind is efficiency may lose over the time. If you're not updating regularly your antivirus control, it may not be the efficient solution for you, right? All this we will try to understand here. Yeah, I will be taking some of your question, guys. Just let me just clarify all these topic. Will provide you some time, and I will discuss some of the questions from you there. Right. Then we have a security operations where we'll discuss on the incident management, disaster recovery, security operational activity within an organization, right? All these things we will try to understand in the security operation, another important domain of the, and then finally the software development security. We will try to understand the development approach, testing approach of the software, and very importantly, what are the different models which we are following nowadays in the development? I mean, we have DevOps, we have DevSecOps, we have the integration servers like Jenkins, we have the the software repositories, right? So all these things we will try to understand, and then the relationship between them and where the security issues can possible and how to fix that. Right? So this is what we have in the entire CISSP. Now, if you can see entirely, CISSP is covering each aspects what you do in your organization. And that is the reason is one of the gold standard, because it had not actually left anything. As a security professional, you are in a good position to advise your organization what is the best option for you. Right now, although we will try to discuss all the cybersecurity best practices definitely in the session, but some of the best practices which you have to follow just for as a takeaway from this session. One important thing is that you have to keep your system and software up to date, because mostly the attack is possible because your system is not up to date against the latest attack which may possible against your organization. So if you have a latest patch, latest signature, chances are very less that the attackers may thwart your organization. Implement strong access control which ensure that only the person who's allowed to access a certain information is allowed to access the information as well. So we are following here need to know and least privilege control. Conduct regular testing, because if you are not doing testing, you can't say that you are protected. Testing will help you understand how much you are protected and how much still the work is required. Even after the implementation of the control, still the chances of downtime is possible. But if you have a proper backup, you can restore quickly and you can move forward. And remember, this is actually true for every situation, whether you are handling incident or anything else there, right? Implement a security response plan, which will ensure that we have a certain activity to conduct in a proper and a planned way if there is any issue we are going to face. Regular assessment we need to do, a strong encryption which will ensure that our data is protected. Defense in depth, the more sensitive data is, the more control you have to implement, right? So defense in depth ensure that we have more than one control to fix this one issue, right? Stay up to date with the latest threats and trend, because that is where we are normally lacking. If you don't have the information how the attacker is trying to trick you, you may be easily going to be the part of their attack. And definitely conduct regular penetration testing, which will help you understand how the attack may possible and what is the impact of that attack. Some of the regulatory framework which we always have to follow. I mean, you can say the global regulations and frameworks which we have, like GDPR, PCI DSS for the payment industry or the payment gateway. For the public health information, we have the HIPAA. Sarbanes-Oxley Act for the financial informations, Federal Information Security Management Act for the information security control, Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, NIST Cybersecurity Framework, and one of the gold standard ISO 27001. But again, definitely why we should do that, why we should take care of these, we will try to understand everything there, right? There's some tips for the examination. I mean, understand the exam format. Remember, the examination format is going to be always the MCQ here, multiple choice question. Some of the questions are going to be mix and match, but yeah, you have to select one best answer out of 4 or 5 options given in your question. Create your study plan. I mean, you should be very much clear that which book you are following. We have multiple books available around us. Only one book is also going to be the best option for you. But yes, which one book is going to be the best, that one we have to understand at the time of preparation and when you are trying to appear in the examination. I mean, 2 day or 1 day before, what study plan you have to follow. Take practice question, because the more and more practice examination questions you will do, it will be very clear. The concept will be very clear for you there, right? Specifically, you're facing any issue that will help you understand. Understand the concept, not only memorize. Now remember, don't do only practice. Understand the mistakes which you're doing while you're doing the practice, because that is going to help you understand what is a weak area, and accordingly we can go for the improvement. Very much importantly, join a study group, because that will help you to improve your confidence. I had seen many of the users who actually lose confidence over the time, or might be even the interest over the time. The moment one guy has given that, hey, I got passed today, suddenly they got boost up and they start doing the preparation. And that is what the groups, not only that, regularly discussion with that group is also going to help you. So always try to join at least on some study group, which will help you to maintain your interest and also the confidence. Take breaks and manage stress. Specifically during the examination, break is one of the important, because the examination is of 4-hour duration. So for the 4-hour examination, if you're taking breaks, it will ensure that your mind is able to think again after a few very complex questions. Read the question carefully, might be double or twice or thrice. Read the question. It will help you understand. Sometimes we lose focus, and because of that we not able to understand some point like not, or some such points got missed, right? So that is very much important. Read the questions carefully, right? Don't panic during the examination. Yeah, sometime while checking the first 2 or 3 questions, suddenly we got some hard or might be the complex question. We just suddenly got panic, but that is not the case. Remember, it's a cat-based examination. So over the time or over the questions, you may got some very easy questions as well. And also review answer specifically while you're doing the practice, because that will help you understand how much you are in a correct direction. So this is some of the tips which we have to follow. Right now, I will be taking some of your questions if you have anything. So let me check your chats. Yeah, I will share some study material. Might be, yeah. The group might be the coordinator, might be they will help you get the content. Yes, everything is going to be covered properly, specifically practically, because there's some scenario which is there on the cloud, which will help you to understand the things very easily, right? So yep, SAML and everything. Okay, I can see there's no so much questions here. So any question, guys? Anything which you feel you want to ask, or you have some doubts or anything? Yes, Mr. Sheikh. I can see 3 raised hands. Sheikh, Harsh, Mr. Chetan. Can I? Yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah. So I had unmuted you. So might be you can unmute and ask the question.
Hi, Chetan here. So I just have a question, Raju, that what is the cost of exam, and is there any option of a retake in the same cost? Because it's very, I mean, vast, right? So if you get fail, then can we retake that, or how about it, Miss?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Yes. See that there is a retake option is not very, I mean, every time it is not available. But the good thing is that right now there is a new scheme started by SA Square, and this
Okay.
is called as, yeah, this is called as the peace of mind scheme. In that
Mm-hmm.
peace of mind scheme, you have to spend $200 extra in your examination. So currently the examination cost is $799.
Oh,
Okay.
it's huge.
It may vary, might be, yeah, it's $749 actually right now. Might be in your country with some taxes, might it will increase, but currently it is $749. Apart
Okay.
from $749, let's suppose that you wanted to get peace of mind offer as well, then you have to add 199. So
Mm-hmm.
with this, you will get 2 attempts. Okay.
Okay, got
So
it,
let's
got it.
suppose in the first attempt you're not able to crack due to some reason. Within 3 months, you have to take the second attempt
Mm-hmm.
to go for the examination. So right now this limited time offer is going on, and I can
Okay.
see from the past few months, ISIS Squad is regularly repeating this practice. So yep, I think this
Okay.
option is regularly available for you. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Raju.
perfect. Yeah, any
Hello,
more
Rajiv.
question? Yes, yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Singh.
hi, this is Tariq here. So, Rajiv, I got the invite for this webinar, I think, from my company itself. So, is this so? How is this? Is the training going to proceed, or like people have to register for it? What is the process going
See,
further?
I think it's a online webinar right now for the training. So definitely you have to register for the training. And right now with me, Mrinal is there. So if you have any message, might be you can talk directly to Mrinal. He's the best person who can actually help you to answer this.
Okay.
I'm
The
the
second
trainer.
question.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. The second question was on the endorsement part. So I think for certification we need some sort of endorsement. So if a
correct.
person goes training through Cognitia,
Mhm.
So does Cognition help to endorse, or do we need to get endorsed by our manager or someone
See, this
else in the industry?
endorsement, yeah, remember this endorsement will be done by 2%, can be only done by 2%. Either it is going to be the existing ISS Square professional, or it is going to be ISS Square only. Okay. So
Okay.
if you don't know any person who is professional member of the ISS Square, then you can directly approach ISS Square. They can also do the verification and do the endorsement for you. But let's suppose you know already the person, then you can forward that request directly to him. Like I can be one of the endorser for you.
Endorser,
For
okay.
yeah.
I had one last question in terms of the exam fee. I think it was 749. So does that include this ISC square materials as well? Because
No, it's
or is
only
it
the
only
examination attempt.
exam?
Examination
Okay.
material after this registration definitely will be shared by the Cognition team.
Okay. And we have to there is annual maintenance as well, is it?
Correct.
Or
$125 is the annual maintenance fee.
okay. All right. Thank you. That answers my question.
Sure. Thanks. Any more question, guys? I can see 2 more minutes we have. General experience will not work. No, actually, you have to be. You must have experience in at least in 2 of the domain out of 8 which we had seen in the slides. Just check if you can. Any more question, guys? Cool. So I think there's no any more question you all have. So I assume that you like this particular webinar, guys. Some information you got here about the ISS Squared CISSP certification. So if you like, definitely just go for the registration. We will be starting the session soon, I think. So the more information will be shared by the Cognitia team will help you to go for the registration. Thank you guys for your participation, and stay safe. And yes, you will get a e-certificate, correct? That is called the participation certificate. Yep. Thank you guys, and see you, my